The time is now 6:06. I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, August 25th, 2025 to order. We do have a quorum. All members are present. We're going to go straight from the opening of the work session to an executive session. Right, and then we just read this now. Okay. And then we'll, when we adjourn the executive session, we will come back into the work session. During the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Bender announced that certain matters should be discussed in a closed session of the meeting and asked council to advise the city with respect to closing the meeting. City Attorney Jay Crowley advised the city of the following reasons to close the meeting. Are you going to do litigation too?
No, just real estate.
To authorize negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property, authorize ordering of an appraisal related to the acquisition or disposal of real estate, enter into a contract to purchase, dispose of, or lease property subject to approval in a subsequent public vote, or enter into an option to purchase, dispose of, or lease real estate subject to approval in a subsequent public vote, which is excluded from the Open Meetings Act pursuant to Section 50-14-3B1. On a motion of Councilmember Ward and seconded by Councilmember Schultz, the meeting was closed with the following council members and the mayor present and voting. Mayor Barbara Bender, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Todd Warner.
Yes.
Norman Carter.
Yes.
Harry Hetherington.
Yes.
Christy Linsky.
Yes.
Gretchen Schultz.
Yes.
We don't necessarily have to rely on the computer. Basically, what the computer, we can show you the photos on top of the roof essentially, and basically the main layout. How we're proposing to redo the roof is not going to be changing any of the slopes existing, unless we do go the longer route and remove the existing layers and then put a brand new roof, which I don't see there any reason to, and we can get a structural engineer's report saying it can hold the weight as well.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Come on in, Cody.
I'm gonna let you out.
I'm a paperwork guy.
We'll ask you to go over some of the details. If you'll recall last year, we had issues with leaking as part of a cupola there that they fixed. And if you go back in the classroom on the second floor, you'll see the drop ceiling, the tiles there are water issues. And if you look above the entryway to planning, you can see where the best way to describe it is like a bed sheet almost, like it's the way it's folding looks like a sheet there.
The paint is delaminating from the wall again?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's bubbled.
Yeah.
I don't think, we've gone on the roof and around the area, and I don't think it's coming from there. We peeked our head above ceiling tiles, everything was dry. When we first noticed it, we put moisture meters and everything, and it's like nothing ever happened with it. But I'm kind of confused on where that came from. Is that curse?
Yeah, it's the curse of Oberholzer. For you, Jerry. In case he watches the video.
I wondered who you were talking to.
You thought I was starting to call Miss Linsky Jerry?
I didn't know one of them was here.
Yeah, I just thought, well, who's
I thought somebody was coming. Could have been either one.
Random Jerry. I've been known to call people the wrong name.
So for anyone just joining us, we're kind of rearranging the work session agenda. This is actually item A under our discussion items. Parker Young is talking about some repairs that are needed for City Hall.
So there's, ideally, when we're talking about the roof situation, The main issue is the roof that is there now is outside its life expectancy. They're only meant to be there for about 15 to 20 years. And we're surpassed that already. The other one is, we didn't put this in the proposal, but we kind of noted it. The slate shingles, a lot of nails are missing on these. They can be easily lifted during rainfall, high wind storms, which could allow some of the moisture that we're seeing towards those areas of just slow penetrating drips. We kind of propose to go back with a standing seam if we did mess with this, which would be just a metal roof. The only downfall is it's not going to match the other building next door.
Is it visible from the ground from any of our sight lines though?
Almost at Stone Mountain, maybe you can get a glimpse of it, but no, not really.
So the people at Knob Hill, if they have a telescope,
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question first? Is that popcorn? Like, are you popping popcorn?
So this is actually the core of the existing roof.
Oh, got it.
Yes, so that lets us know.
It looked like he was popping popcorn.
So that lets us know what the roof is, what is actually there. And what you're seeing is about 5 inches of insulation and then the top of the roof, letting us know that the roof is not very heavy. Structurally standpoint, it should hold a TPO directly above it.
It'll be a similar layer on top. It's a foam insulative that goes on top of the existing roof. Only a couple pounds, if that, per square foot. So you're not adding a ton of weight.
So as we kind of scroll through, what you're going to notice is along a lot of the edges is deteriorating, where you can start seeing some of the fiberglass coming through the roof. Pretty much letting you know that this is really close to being an expired roof. And when you go around the perimeter and you see those leaking ceiling tiles kind of middle of the hallway around the exterior sides, this is a good indication of where they're coming from. With a roof in this shape, you're not going to pinpoint one spot and say, let me patch it here, and then wait till the next rainfall and you're going to find another leak here or there. We'll just kind of scroll through, and there's a good indication of that fiberglass again. That's easily penetrated with water. I'm surprised we're really not seeing more water damage kind of trickling down on the upper levels of ceiling tiles. And you can kind of see where it's really faded out up there. Once again, that's just going to be showing the typical age of this roof. The good thing going back with the TPO is you're going to have a 15 to 20 year warranty.
Okay, TPO stands for?
Yeah, you can,
Sorry, it's a tripolymer. It's a rubberized roof.
Membrane
Yes.
roof.
Yeah, membrane
Not an
roof. Yes.
EPDM, but a TPO.
But yeah, so it's rubberized. It's not fiberglass. It's not asphalt. And it's not concrete or any mixture of substances. It's one solid polymer. The product that we're using is a 60 mil. It's very thick. It's almost like what you would see on a tire, except white. But TPO it has a very long term.
and when we go to actually purchase the material for the roof, at that time we can ask for extended manufacturer warranty. Wouldn't be a cost that the city absorbed, we would absorb it for you, and we can add on an additional 10 to 20 years on that. Ultimately, this roof should last 40 to 50 years. That's going back to the slate roof. As you can kind of see in that line, you've got several nails missing in this one little section. And it kind of gets worse towards the edge.
So it's not real slate, it's a composite material, I assume?
Yeah, also that's made out of like a composition of metal, tar, and asphalt kind of, crumbles on top
Yeah,
of it.
standing seam will go
Yeah.
50 years easy, so.
Yeah,
It might
yeah.
not look good, but it'll stay.
Yeah,
It'll still look good, it's
Yeah.
just not gonna match, essentially. But yeah, just more indications over here, just spots showing fresh fiberglass through, letting it know you've gone through all the layers of this roof eroding. And it's really worse kind of in these areas coming up to the existing flashings. This is just showing some of the nails missing.
What accounts for the missing nails? Were they just not there, or are they fallen out?
It's wear and tear over time. It's 20 years old on this section, from original build date.
I was here when we cut the ribbon.
That particular section too, as opposed to having like a solid surface underneath, it's slatted, kind of like you would see in a very old house. So the structure underneath is actually wood slats that kind of go across sporadically, and then the nails kind of bite in from the front. You can see the front edge of the shingle there. They actually nail straight into the wood there, so there's really not much holding it but like a tack nail, right in the front of some wood. So it's actually surprising that it's lasted as long as it has.
Now, if you get a good wind, good sideways rain, you're gonna be exposed to moisture on that kind of roof.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps underneath, a lot of undulation in each individual piece. So any water coming opposite the direction of the grade of the roof is going to have the possibility for
And
penetration.
that slate roof is actually very, very expensive, and that's why we went to the alternate route of kind of just suggesting to go back with the metal roof. And basically, everybody knows last year we did repair the upper section that was damaged from the heavy rainfall event. So this just kind of gives you a,
So could you scroll back up just a little bit?
Yep.
So on the map, the only place where we have the quote-unquote slate roof are the two dormers that poke out over the entranceways.
And then the side
north and south.
entrances.
Oh, okay.
the side entrances have a very small,
And though the elevation on the small ones, that's down pretty low, and I can walk out there and see.
yeah, that's
So
just
that would
over
be
the
more
first floor.
visible.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as long as we do a good color match or something that works well with existing brick, most people would never know.
And we could show different variations of colors that are offered instead of, I would recommend buying metal that is already close to that color instead of going out there and
Oh,
painting
yeah,
it.
absolutely. They-
This is pretty much just an overview. I just thought I would run through it, you kind of get the overall aspect of the magnitude of this. And so there's right there on the side entrance. It is going to be visible, but on the other side, it's not that visible because it doesn't get much traffic. But
Remember, that's the downspout that the squirrels wash out of.
Thank you for sharing that, Marilyn. The squirrel water slide.
The baby squirrels that washed out of the nest.
Where did these come from?
Our city wood schools wash out of.
Good use of the holding cell.
So basically, that's kind of everything en route. The TPO is going to match what's existing on the upper layer up there. The only thing different is we're not going to wrap it over the edge and do the same coping. We can, it's just everything up there is in great existing condition where we could unattach it and run the TPO up underneath the existing. If you did want to run that bronze trim like we did on the upper level or copper, it's just another cost to be absorbed.
And none of that is visible.
No.
from- Yeah.
It's not going to be it's not needed. Everything's in good condition.
And the existing material is galvanized?
Yes,
It should be.
it's going to last a lifetime already.
So have we got estimates on this?
Yes.
Yes. So the first estimate we sent over was very high because we didn't know at the time. We didn't pull a core sample to remove the existing and then a brand new TPO system with new slopes and everything that would drain a little bit better, but there's a big price difference of demoing. I believe the existing quote now is $331, and that is going to be going basically detaching the coping, and then remove the existing 6-inch layer, or not remove, sorry. We're gonna put in a 1-inch ISO board and then the TPO on the top.
So the ISO board protects us from nail pops and all that sort of stuff.
Correct. We'll be able to fasten.
Also increases the insulation capacity of what's there.
Yeah.
Yes. And what they will do is they will fasten it directly to the existing metal decking.
Awesome.
So that eliminates all the headaches, and like I said, going down the road, this is a much better roof to have. It's less maintenance. It's easy patchable if it does need to be patched.
Yeah.
The only thing to always remember is if you choose to go back with a TPO, coring the roof can void any type of warranties that you do have on it.
But you've documented what's there fairly well.
Yes.
So,
We know exactly what's underneath the roof. Even moving forward, if we do decide to proceed, I will get the structural engineer to come out and just write us a scope of report saying it will hold the weight. And that's just a liability thing.
Yeah.
Nothing the city would pay, we would pay for it.
my point is, as long as we document what is there in the various locations, then someone shouldn't have to come out and pour.
No, the only-
As long as they're not looking for moisture issues.
Yeah, the only reason you'd probably core again is if you looked at replacing it down the road.
Right.
But you're saying that would could be 30, 40.
Yes, you should get the full lifetime out of this roof.
I think going 50 years, you would probably look at replacing the entire roof.
Yeah, and the next time you go to do a roof replacement, you're gonna be removing all the layers.
Well, we could say the next time they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Most of us don't-
Yeah.
One of us will be here.
Long after my time.
Yeah, the likelihood of it holding too many more layers is just gonna be pushing it.
Right.
Chrissy needs to be around.
All right, any other questions?
So that the number you quoted is both for the standing seam and the
And
TPO?
if you chose to do, the 4 sections, you would be looking at roughly about, I could say,
To answer you shortly, the 331 did not include those sections of roof.
Okay. I would think that we would want to look at that.
I think it would add about another 50 to it.
Yeah.
And that would, we would remove what was existing and redo the decking and put metal.
I think if we were going through the vein of that, might as well do all of them.
Yeah, because if you go to do that work, someone.
A week later, you notice water, it's gonna raise all kind of red
Right,
flags.
just do it all. If you got one warranty, one contact, maybe not one warranty, but one person that.
Yep, and you'll have you'll have within the first year, full warranty over the roof by us. After that, it will go into the manufacturer's warranty.
Any other questions of council?
Just please get us firm numbers for the standing seam along with.
Yeah, I can add that in the morning and send them a copy over. I already had it priced out, and that's, I believe we're right at 50 or right below it.
Well,
What we'll do is I'll go back and relook at it, and we will keep it as low as possible for you.
and send the mayor over color swatches.
I think a bronze or something would go pretty good. If you did a kind of a, not black, but bronze, it looks very similar. The
Yeah.
weathered material that's already there. You're
Yeah.
kind of in that, that ballpark. But there's definitely a lot of color variations for standing seam. That's another plus you have with it, so you
Yeah.
can kind of get whatever you want, but it's certainly plenty of options.
Not orange.
Yeah, not orange.
Matt, anything else you need from us tonight, or this was just to
Well, yeah,
lay on us all of the,
well, I mean, to let you know the price, I mean, we're kind of looking at this as an emergency repair. I mean, we're leaking currently, and we need to get it taken care of, but it's not 340,000 is above my authorization to sell. But it needs to be done. The original quote, and to give you some perspective, it was about 600,000.
It was $598, and that was doing the full removal and replacement, so.
That's a good, cost saving measure, but that would still be as effective as replacing the whole roof, so.
Yep.
We can't keep getting last time we fixed the cupola, we got scaffolding up here for months.
4 weeks at least.
Yeah, to get it all done.
What's the lead time from PO to walking off the job?
Essentially, we'll turn this around in about a week, week and a half.
Even with ordering the staining seam, do you think they stock the color?
Depending on the
Depending
color.
on what color you're
Yeah,
getting.
depending on
Yeah.
the color, but that would be the only factor.
The
that
good
slows
downfall about that is we could go ahead and get the TPO installed, and as soon as
Yeah.
the metal, we could come back and install that.
That shows which one was really.
Yeah, I guarantee you have leaks coming from that slate style.
With those pictures, yeah.
And especially, I think, I want to say almost the beginning of this year, we had a little dripping on that exterior wall, and it's kind of where it all meets together over there.
It's bad.
It's gotten even worse.
Yeah, you comfortable with?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, this is going to fix all the leaking going on in the building, and at the end of the day, leaks in the building is going to turn into a bigger issue for this building, whether it produces secondary damages, not only to walls or anything, but you're going to have other skepticals raised that we don't want in this building.
Right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Y'all are welcome, and like I said, we'll shoot over the fresh numbers over in the morning, and I'll check on lead times on metal for colors as well. And
If there's a big variation for one color versus the other. make
Slightly
sure you do-
flexible?
Yeah, well, yeah, because the color that's available now is maybe more attractive.
So what I'll do is when I bring the samples out, we'll have notes on them, and it's gonna basically tell you the lead time for each material, what's in stock, how much is in stock, and that way y'all can make your decision based off of that as well.
Great.
Yeah, and what the cost, if there's a
Yeah,
cost difference. on it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna show you anything that's not in stock or not available for 6 months out. It's gonna be what we can readily get our hands onto.
That is, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bring candy next time.
All right, I'll make a note of that.
Aren't they the M&Ms?
They are the M&M and nut
Bring
guys.
M&Ms.
They're the, all
Yeah, I know.
the different bowls of
They're
candy.
Kurt's best friends.
We are melted on the way home.
You just put it in the freezer and break off the piece if you want. Or the fridge. You never throw it away.
So we can go ahead and just do that. Okay, all right, we're gonna get the work session back on track here. So we will review the regular business meeting first. I have no one for the invocation, does anyone have we have the pledge, we've got Boy Scout Troop 506 is coming. We have a proclamation for the 50th anniversary of Troop 506. Pretty awesome. Thank you, Carrie, for rounding that one up. We've got the approval of the minutes. Public hearing item, RZ 2505. Where do we want to start on that?
We need to really just kind of start on how we're gonna handle, how you guys wanna handle the changes that came in, on Friday with just the additional conditions and more importantly, how you wanna handle the change from, and just see how council wants to handle the change between public and private roads.
Okay.
It's a pretty big change.
So, what Jason's alluding to, there were some new site plans submitted with some new proposed conditions. A lot of it just changing exterior design on the front, but there was another major change. It came into planning at 1:30 on Friday, so they've had no time to react to that, and that was removal of gates, on the project. So we're kind of, since we did have that new plan that came in, we'd ask that we just postpone this one until we need a date certain on that.
Can I address that real briefly, Mayor? I sent the email Friday afternoon. I apologize for sending it when we did, but I mean, there were several concerns expressed and specific requests for some modifications that we were trying to be responsive to. And as quickly as we could get those together, we submitted them. On the public versus private question, we had originally proposed private streets.
Right.
There was a request that we specifically accommodate Ride Gwinnett and provide a stop, covered stop for Ride Gwinnett. And so when we did that, our understanding is that has to be public in order for them to have access to it. So that was the reason for that change. If you are going to table it, and that's fine with us, we would ask if we could go ahead with the public hearing tonight and then table it after that. This property is owned by the Wesley Foundation. I know some of you remember Norwood Davis. Norwood used to work for 12 Stone. Now he works for the Wesley Foundation. He's traveled down from Indiana today just to be here to speak. I know we had some folks at the Planning Commission from Bridgewater to speak. I expect some of them will be back. They're outside the city, but they have concerns. We tried to address those, but I expect there'll be some speakers here from Bridgewater. So if you could have the public hearing to accommodate those folks and then table it, we're happy to continue to discuss these conditions or any others. So, thank you.
Okay. Thoughts? Guidance?
Well, the main reason to have the delay is so the changes can be viewed by the public. And so they would be making comments based on
An old plan. It's not relevant.
So that would be the only pertinent issue.
My concern too.
So, I mean, potentially what could happen for Mr. Davis, who's here from out of town, is if we decided to table this, he could still speak at public comment at the end of the meeting.
Yeah. Because if we hold public hearing, we almost would be
We gotta
have
know
to
what we're
have
doing.
another open the public
Yeah.
hearing again, and I don't
You
think
could do a
that,
second one.
yeah, I don't know
Do it
that
way.
is beneficial to
I think it's better if
all
we're
parties.
discussing what's actually
The actual
in
plan
front of
is.
us. The other issue is, even with some of the architectural changes, which to me are really cosmetic, a lot of those types of conditions aren't, planning hasn't had an opportunity to really take a look at those conditions and make sure that the wording is sufficient and they're not in our draft ordinance. So we'd be changing a lot of stuff on the fly.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So we'll make everybody mad if we push off the public hearing till sometime in the future.
So,
What's it?
yeah. Used to doing that. Okay, we'll need a date certain on that. And for the applicant, I would just ask Mr. Davis if you could come up there and public comment
Thank you, Mayor.
and provide that. The rest of the meeting should not be long, so.
Madam Mayor, since, would it be appropriate to ask the applicant if he would prefer the public hearing be held in 2 weeks or whenever the next regularly scheduled meeting, or the second one in the month? Because their schedule is also important in deciding when we delay to.
Does the next,
We can make it happen.
Right. My point is, while they're here, what I'm going to ask them, I don't want to be the person to overstep my
September
bounds.
8th, September 22nd.
Yeah, so,
The next meeting is September the 8th, and the meeting after that is September 22nd. So if y'all want to check your calendars, and you just let us know before the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, the next item is new business, and that is the millage rate. As far as I know, there wasn't anyone who spoke at the 11:30 meeting. So we will do that. Do we do public comment on that? Okay. But we could. I could open the floor. Couldn't you?
Good, I wouldn't.
Okay.
We've had our,
Well, and it
Take the
wasn't,
advisement as a city attorney.
we've had our three, right? Well, and it wasn't advertised.
Yes, it wasn't advertised.
And then, what's become a regular occurrence, surplus of police equipment.
They're cleaning out the garage.
I know,
Yeah.
they're just really clean.
is there anything left over there?
What are you throwing out now? Like first generation tasers?
No.
Those are the good ones.
With holsters and batteries.
3 ProLight binocular lasers. Some of this stuff's not fun.
I had that on the motorcycle when I rode my motor unit a long time ago. That's how old it is.
It's not
Mayor, you want to do laser tag next weekend?
Y'all are like my dad, he didn't throw away anything.
Be good for cats.
You got too much storage over there, you know that.
Okay, so that is everything for our meeting. Any correspondence? I emailed everybody this morning. The Evermore CID is getting ready to do a ribbon cutting on a parallel street that they've been working on for eons. And working with the county, who is one of the major people in that. September 30th came up as the date for that. Right now, where exactly it will be is to be determined, but I wanted to let y'all know about that. City Attorney's report.
We already had an executive session.
We've already done item A under discussion items. We have item B, EV chargers for new residential and commercial.
Madam Mayor, since we have such a full agenda, and it actually segues into COVID updates, we can push it off to next meeting.
We just wound up with a lot of things on the work session agenda, so be careful with the time. Item C, updates on the Snellville Youth Commission.
And we can also move beyond this. I've actually already just spoken to Chief Perry about the background check issue, and we'll present changes codified next meeting.
Okay.
So.
September 8th.
And just another note, September 22nd, we're looking at swearing in our new students, possibly, so just depending on zoning issues, we can move that
Will we have
accordingly.
next Sunday?
Well, it depends on tonight,
Right,
but we could put that at the beginning of the meeting and,
Oh, absolutely. So we can-
we can make it work, I just, yeah.
well, and
just
have
wanted to
a
mention.
5-minute break for
Yeah.
photos and then let them go home and do home.
Yeah, it just usually means a full house.
Oh.
The zoning full house.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Concerns.
All right, item D, discussion on unified development ordinance updates.
Segues into the EV chargers, and Mr. Thompson said that, okay, all right, here you go.
Yeah, we
He said
had some
evidently
time
he'd
now.
like to talk some.
Real quick, we got a list already, we just did our text amendment. Yeah, we just did our last text amendment, it feels like, we just did, it's been a little while, and we got to patch some stuff up, so I got a long list. But I wanna focus on some that we need a little feedback from, just so you can think about So we can, at some point, we're gonna have to do another fun work session, work through kind of some of these things. So some of the topics are pretty easy. We've got driveway additions that are coming out. They're becoming secondary drives, and those are kind of getting overbuilt in the views. They're getting off of the grass and stuff. Now we're getting into some weird paving configurations and a couple of driveways per lot. So we want to be able to put some codes in place that polices that a little bit to keep the driveways near the existing driveways unless grade becomes a problem. We don't want to have two driveways for the house. That's one. We've got some other stuff that has come up with uses, and particularly office uses, and more particularly contractors' offices. And when we updated the UDO, the past UDO, and we put in the grand use provision chart, we specifically left contractors' offices out of general business, OP, and put them in the most intense zoning, thinking that there's always going to be trucks, materials, sometimes work outside. So what we've seen over time, we've seen in home businesses too, is sometimes these contractors really just need an office. They really just need a place to do their books that's not at their home, or have a couple of employees there, minimal footprint. That's not been accommodated in the current code. There's a hard line. So I think there's some room, there's some flexibility there where you put the onus back on the property owner, back on the business owner to maintain that there won't be that overstepping, because a lot of times our OP backs right up to our residential almost every time. And we've seen it over time. Every office, every business wants to get larger. They want to grow. They should. That's what we want too. But a lot of times, those smaller properties can't accommodate that growth. So if we can lay out some principles that we all agree on the front end, if they meet this and they meet, they only agree to have this many cars or whatever, and on the front end in the code, then we can police it and follow up with code enforcement. We can set the fines with no warnings, but I think it's something worth some discussion. We're going to see it happening more and more. So we've run into it a few times now. So those are the two big ones. The other two are just kind of cleaning up some of our variance language and stuff that we've run into. So these are things that usually start tripping us up, and then we have to fix them. Just to codify. But the main ones, the driveways and the contractor office, which is an easy OP and other areas that aren't hard for HSP for. We would probably suggest using, like, we would call it a limited use, which is what we allow now. You're allowed this use by right. You meet these special standards, and you agree to that when you basically take the space. So if you want to work on something, you get a better list, and then you also have the ponds to add to that too. That's part of that business on that too. I've already started working on that. So once we get a nice outline, we'll forward it all back, opine, and then we can get it done.
So just so we don't run into the issue that an applicant or a property owner ran into, is there any mechanism, and this goes to you a little bit, Jay, sorry.
I'm good.
Okay.
That can wait, so.
If somebody has a tenant they want to put in their commercial property currently, is there any way that we can accommodate them before we are able to push the code changes through? Whether it's go through an SUP process or something, just so they don't get caught up in the morass.
I mean, they can always go through a zoning change. I mean, the flat out zoning change or an SUP or something like that. But as far as it just getting approved by city staff for a use that's not allowed, I don't recommend that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I didn't know if there was an appropriate way to do it either through zoning board of appeals or special use permit by mayor and council, which would take less time than potentially going through. And it may not come up, just.
My only concern with that is it's not in the code that we could do a special use.
Yeah, it would, that's the issue.
So we'd be doing a
It has to
special
be,
case on one person
Yeah.
potentially.
Right.
We can look
Why
through
ask?
though and see if we can get, if there's.
Right, I just.
I get it, I
again,
understand.
Want to make sure we're accommodating our property owners as much as possible. Now you can go chit chat and do whatever.
It's looking at it, but I will go into the question.
Anything else on that that we need to go over?
No, that's all on me.
Item E, discussion of closure of Harbor Oaks Drive.
We've had, and I made sure everybody on mayor and council and staff has been included in the request that we've received about Harbor Oaks Drive and cut-through traffic. And the mayor had some very strong feelings about this, so I will turn it over to the mayor.
Well, I think all you know that it's been requested by at least one person on Harbor Oaks. We really haven't gauged public support for this yet or not, but we thought the best course of action was to do the data gathering to see if turning Harbor Oaks where it comes into Highway 124 into a cul-de-sac, so there's no entry there to Harbor Oaks. Whether it was even feasible or not, we figured we should check with some other powers that would have some say on this to see if it can even be done before we even start giving public opinion. At our last meeting with former director of the Gwinnett DOT and the new director of the DOT, Louis Cooksey and Edgardo, and we talked about the closure of that road and would Gwinnett DOT have a say in that or anything, and they said they would have no opinion. It's a city street, it feeds out to state highway, so we wouldn't need approval from them. The next thing that came up was, in that meeting, was what about fire safety? And there is a fire safety person that reviews plans now, but that's in the planning department at Gwinnett County. So Matt talked with them, and they came back and said they don't see a problem with the fire department. Because typically, when you look at it, probably the fire trucks coming from Lenora Church, they're going to be coming up 124 and turning left on Oak, more than anything. So the other piece that came up out of the Gwinnett DOT meeting that we had was Mr. Cooksey had brought up that we were getting an update on the roundabout at Mountain View and Oak Road, which I think you all are aware of, that is currently, the construction design, I believe, is done or substantially complete. They're in right-of-way acquisition. There's only 5 property owners that are working on there. If that's through the end of the year, they're hoping to be in construction on that roundabout next year. So it's kind of on the fast track. I was shocked, honestly, that it's going through. Yes, it's a very unsafe intersection. So very pleased about that. But in the conversation, we were kicking around that a lot of the traffic going down Harbor Oaks is probably going Harbor Oaks to go right onto 124. And they're going that way because it's too unsafe to go down Mountain View to Oak and make that left. So there's a really good potential that roundabout opening at Mountain View is going to cut out a lot of the cut-through traffic in Harbor Oaks. So we're going to talk with the county to see if they can put down the traffic count and do the traffic counter now or sometime in the next 6 to 8 months before that opens, and then do a traffic count after it opens and see if the traffic counts are down. I think one of the things that's kind of pushing the question from the one homeowner's standpoint is the widening of 124 and what that's going to do at Harbor Oaks Drive. The plans from the Georgia DOT are for a right in, right out intersection there, or street. And that plan is not going into construction until at least 2029. So we've got time. This doesn't have to be a hurry up kind of deal. So my recommendation would be that we take some time, do some traffic counts on the cars, let this intersection improvement roundabout open, and then we come back and revisit. Now, that wouldn't stop us from going ahead and engaging, public support for or against. I just wouldn't be in favor of spending a lot of money, doing any kind of expensive kind of traffic plan on there without that intersection open.
If we're looking at this being 18 months to 2 years out to closing that, I would hold off on public support because that neighborhood turns over pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be all different people.
It'll be different, potentially.
Could that
Could
be
be
a
one neighborhood.
street that speed tables might work on?
Well, that's Gwinnett County, the speed hunt program.
Not speed humps.
The
No, not what we have in Now Hill, but like
They
over
are,
by the police department.
they have resisted even moving forward to gauge support along the street for that. The
Okay.
people who've reached out say no. So
Yeah.
they
like
don't
that
want speed tables or speed humps.
We're on Oak.
Chief, do you have an opinion on safety of closing Harbor Oaks?
It wouldn't affect the police's response. We're similar to the fire department, we just find a way. So there's 3 other good entrances into that area, at least. Yeah.
They just drive faster.
Give them a chance to go around more curves. Okay. Any other thoughts, opinions? No? Christie?
Madam Mayor, I have an update from Mr. Wilson. Norwood is Mr. Davis, right? Would like to speak at comments tonight, and if they could reset it to the September 8th meeting.
That works for SYC.
I'm on the wrong page. All right, thank you. Item F, discussion of the town green line.
I'd like to suggest that we get a committee together to look at our options. We really need the state that the lawn is, or lack of lawn. We really need a short-term solution and a long-term solution. And what those look like, cost, how that breaks down really needs a little bit more time and energy and specialization. So, do I have any volunteers?
Yeah.
And who needs to be on that committee?
Someone from Public Works.
So Todd, Norman,
And probably somebody from
Probably
staff.
Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly.
I'd say Kelly and Charlene.
Farmers Market.
Yeah, and Charlene.
Kelly, Charlene. David.
When I saw this item on the agenda, I was about through the roof until Todd calmed me down, because,
I have that effect.
which is usually
Which we don't.
not true at all. Because I felt like we've had this discussion. And it was that no one was willing to change any behaviors, and without that, we're not gonna.
This is fine, but our short-term solution right now has been when Mayor Pro Tem Warner takes the initiative to
Wood shade.
drag the sand and the wood shavings out there on a Saturday like what we have this weekend, just in order to make sure that nobody
Trips and falls.
trips, falls. We have kids playing in the dirt. That is not the vision of the town green I'm certain that we had years ago. They're genuinely singing.
Kids like to play in the
Yes,
We
but
brought it up when a year.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, we had, remember, we had Sam Crow,
Right.
who has maintained many golf courses. The name can go grass, anywhere you can go grass. That's possible.
But we talked about,
Extending the pavers and.
well, it's making actually a
Yeah.
circular pattern around the green for the
Rachel might
vehicles.
need to be on the. I just feel like it needs further study, and I don't know that we have been able to dig our teeth into the issues and the finances of it and what all of the options are in a work session format. So that's why I suggest a committee.
I'm fine.
It's a good idea to have a committee, because I mean, when I saw the trip hazard last Saturday, that was Todd wasn't standing there telling everybody to watch their step. You could have had somebody that would have fallen straight on the brick, smashed their head, their face, nose.
Okay, so we'll, if you'll just put together who that committee,
I will happily organize the committee as long as I'm not on it.
if you'll,
Doing nothing.
Madam Mayor, would you like to appoint a chair for that?
yeah, well, if you will give me the list, and then I will appoint the committee.
Okay.
And we'll check on appointments.
You have a committee to appoint the committee.
Committee for community.
Watch it, or you'll be.
Another committee.
And then we'll sack everybody. That is responsible for the sacking.
Okay, that makes me happy to deal with this.
Update of ongoing projects.
Thank you, Andrea. I just realized I did not pass these out. So town center, I'll run through quickly. Crooked Can is targeting October. I've been told they're hiring staff. Good. Talk Maria and Duncan Master are moving as well. And Parkside's even seeing some activity, so I think we're hoping most of them will be opened in October, November timeframe.
Or before 124 is widened.
No comment.
Sorry. I didn't mean
Just don't know, laugh or cry.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I choose laughter.
Yeah. And then we're working on our special event policy for the Grove. We'll get that to you. We'll get you guys a latest draft of the graphic that we've got for the Snellville Entertainment District branding. And then the third Thursday the next third Thursday at the Grove is September 18th at 6 o'clock. And I believe we're having Ignatius Hines. He plays the saxophone.
Saxophone, okay.
Yeah, cool.
That'd be nice.
The name like Ignatius Hines looks like you have to play the saxophone. It's a
Yeah.
very cool
Yeah.
name. So we're looking forward to having him on site. And then just city business cleanup beautification. GDOT, I know that this comment has been on there for a year. They actually did recently just cut those detention ponds on 124 and said we did there.
It should be on there every month, because
Yeah, yep. And then we went over the UDO amendments there. We're touching that anymore. Package sales implementation, anything that we need to discuss there. Okay, we're working that plan there to get ready for the lottery. Briscoe Park, so the utility relocations are going well. We're almost done with the water line, quite a bit, 8-inch. That moved several hundred feet, and that's going well. So hopefully we're looking to pressurize it next week. And then they've ordered a lot of the steel and inspected it for the steel framing and things. So once we get the utilities going, the detention pond I think has been graded and all of that is ready to go. So once we get utilities relocated, start seeing things come up out of the ground, I'm excited. Just again, continuing to kind of monitor the spending, what's being requested and what you call pay application, what materials and labor have actually done on site. Or we talked about maybe taking out some financing really for cash flow purposes, there as SPLOST money is collected month by month. We certainly have sufficient to cover the total amount that's collected till 2029, FY 2029. So we talked about getting a little bit of help from GMA through a loan to be able to kind of keep us from having to dip into the general fund reserves and pay back the SPLOST fund. So in the recent conversation we had recently with GMA, the underwriter firm that they use is the same that Howell Edwards or Howell Crowley would recommend. I think where we need to get to is an amount that we're comfortable with, doing that. And it is a challenge when we have a rough schedule. Well, it's more than rough, but I mean, it changes depending on weather and availability of products and things. And in each pay app, you have the backup, which is called the continuation of values. And what that essentially is the amount, each different task and the dollar amount assigned to that task to complete. And so we know what the contractor bid on certain aspects of the work. So pouring the slab, erecting and buying all the steel. The challenge is we don't know exactly when that work will happen or if it will happen on the schedule. The schedule is almost revised every month depending on what has transpired the previous month. I know we had talked about, $2 to $3 million, to kind of get us through. The concern that we have as staff is, you don't certainly want to continue to go out for loans if there are changes in the schedule and trying to kind of balance that out. So would the council be comfortable with a $3 to $4 million loan?
Through GMA and
The brick and mortar program.
The rates are,
The rates would be anywhere between 4 and 4.2.
and the origination expense is the same regardless of whether you're taking 2 or whether you're taking 4.
15 years with an early buyback. So when SPLOST money is collected, you can pay it off and be done with it.
And all those expenses can be paid out of the SPLOST fund.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, it's all construction.
That's right. It's-
So, and just to reiterate, this isn't because we're short of money in the SPLOST, it's just that the timing, we're building on the total SPLOST, which was 6 years, right? So the total projected revenue from that 6-year SPLOST is what we're using for this building, that percentage that was for the park. And it's just, the SPLOST money still has several years to come in, and we're in construction now, and we've got some big expenses coming earlier than what the SPLOST money will come in. So what should happen is we get the loan just to cover that shortfall right now, and then the SPLOST money revenue comes in, catches up, and then we pay that loan down.
And I will say it's certainly not uncommon because you do have to collect over 6 years that you are kind of what you give colloquialism, kind of you rob Peter to pay Paul amongst your finances because you have projects that are capital projects you don't accomplish now that you simply can't wait for 6 years to collect every single dollar and then expend it all, right, at one time. And that's what we're talking about now.
It's the same thing that was done on the City Hall building.
Right.
There was, leasing money done in advance of SPLOST money being collected to pay back.
The thing to remember is construction costs only go up. So we probably saved more money by starting when we did than waiting until we had all the funds in hand and going out to bid. We would have ended up millions of dollars short. So it's a cost of collecting those construction savings.
So 3 to 4 million would get us about half our cash up front of the total budget, and that includes the engineering, ongoing construction admin from engineering and those type of things. It would include some FF&E and some other things that we've budgeted in. You know, the project, the construction project is just 11.3 million. You've got a lot of ancillary things that contribute to the project. You know, there that add to that, including the contingency, which we thankfully have not had to tap into. And it looks like we won't as far as rock is concerned, which is a big win for us because you run into rock and it quickly eats up your contingency to get rid of it. So if you all are okay with 3 to 4 million, I would like to go ahead
And we meaning Tony, has a good connection with the law firm that would handle those loan finance. So we've done a bunch of work with them through other cities, even there, Snellville, so.
All right, thank you. And then North and Wisteria, AT&T, I was told to be out there today. I did not see him out there today, so we'll get a phone call from you tomorrow.
Still nothing from last week?
Yeah, I stopped by and talked to Chris and asked him if he wanted their phone number, and he said, no, I'll let Matt do that.
Well, I talk to them every day, so that's about all I can do.
Beautiful weather for him to be working.
Get it going.
He also mentioned something about they're waiting on Comcast also.
Yeah, it's a much more minor thing.
Yeah.
And then the contractor for the sewer will be starting either later this week or early next week on that. And so they'll be doing their sewer work through across the pet hospital Bayfield and then down to the bank.
What's
And
the
then we
time
can-
around that?
They are expecting that to take no longer than 45 days.
Nice.
Pretty quick. Pretty quick
Is
connection.
that, will that,
Well, that's quick for it.
Yeah.
will
Pretty quick.
that,
That includes a bore under Wisteria, which
will there be any closures or anything?
there wouldn't be, 'cause it's boring.
Okay.
Boring under. You're not open cutting any part of Wisteria, you know, there. So it's a little bit trickier for them, but it should be fine.
Depends on what utilities are under there that weren't marked properly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not all that real stuff.
And when we get that firm date, we'll reach out to the property owners, make sure they're comfortable understanding in construction what happened there. Just a few other brief things. So the .gov crossover, we've talked about that before. That was, brought up by council. We've talked to our IT, third-party IT vendor, and they're recommending that for cybersecurity reasons to be able to protect us better. You know, the challenge is right now with the .org, anybody can, so for example, when the Grove was first coming online, as far as conversations going and renderings and things, the city through GoDaddy bought all kinds of domains, right? The Grove at Town Center, the Grove Business at Town Center, the Grove, all of them have since kind of culled them down. With the .org, there's nobody really stopping anybody from doing that, from just going on and buying a domain and then essentially putting whatever they want on there and saying it's the official website of the city of Snellville. Which, I may not be a problem. When I first started here, the way the website looked, that definitely could have been possible. But it looks much more professional now than it did 4 years ago. And so the way .gov works is its domain that's maintained and owned by the federal government, so it's impossible to essentially spoof off of .gov. So with that, the domino effect of changing that means there's a lot of other changes that will come. So business cards, email addresses, letterhead, those type of things, and it has spurred conversations amongst staff to get us on the same page with what logos we use, when we use them, branding guides, all of that type of stuff. And we have this logo, we have the circular one that goes on resolutions. I mean, for us to get on the same page.
We've got those name badges. I've still got the old seal on it.
Yeah. So I'm just prepping you that with this .gov crossover, there's a lot of other things that will probably need to be taken care of as part of it. It just lends itself to that fresh start on a bunch of other things.
I would just
We're
say,
talking about going from .org to .gov.
I would just say, let's not prolong the period of time that we're less secure because of logos and stuff like that.
No, we're
I
not.
appreciate it.
In fact, it's the opposite. I think we're going to continue that discussion, and the letterhead and that sort of stuff can come after. But VC3's schedule, they won't be able to get to it until January anyway.
Okay.
So, but we'll certainly not say, well, hold on, let us get our logos in order before you start your cybersecurity stuff. It'll be the opposite. I'm sorry. Last thing real quick, property tax billing. So Gwinnett County has been delayed in part from House Bill 581 on getting their system in place. So they're later than normal to get the digest to the state. The state has to approve it, which we've been told is going slower than normal as well. Bottom line is, we will most likely need to push back the deadline for property taxes being due because we do not have the digest, approved digest to bill.
Was that for you?
Yeah.
That's gonna.
Sounds good.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, in a second, all in favor, raise your hand. We'll see y'all later.